Hello, champions, and welcome back to PW English. And I'm your Diksha ma'am. So, today we are going to start the chapter Human Health and Diseases, most awaited chapter. So far, we have covered a lot of chapters of class 12th, and this is one of a very, very important chapter. So, let's get started. First of all, we'll understand what this paragraph says, which is the first paragraph of this chapter in NCRT. So the line starts from health for a long time was considered as a state of body and mind where there was a balance of certain humors. So back in like so time long away ago, there were some peoples who have joined health with your humors. So there was a good humor hypothesis which was given by Hippocrates, and according to that there are four things in your body, which is yellow bile, black bile, phlegm, and blood. So they completely divide the entire body and diseases into four categories. So for example, they have given one of the disease which is the black bile, right? What they have given? Black bile. So let's read this line. This is what early Greeks like Hippocrates as well as the Indian Ayurveda system. So also in the Indian Ayurveda system, this type of humor hypothesis is present, but it's quite little different from what they say. Of medicine asserted, it was thought that person with black bile belonged to hot personality and would have fever. So they actually joined a lot of diseases with black bile. So for example, if someone is having fever and have a hot body, they would think that that person's spleen is having accumulation of bile. Or if a person is having cancer, that person may have accumulation of bile in certain parts of the body. Fine. So this was what bile it says, right? This idea was arrived at by pure reflective thought. So this has nothing to do with the practicality, but it was just their thought of the medicine system. The discovery of blood circulation by William Harvey using experimental method and the demonstration of normal body temperature in person with black bile using thermometer disapproved the good humor hypothesis of health. So that good humor hypothesis, which was long time back and it was running good in amongst the people, but this was really disproved by William Harvey, who actually invented the blood circulation, how your blood moves in your body. So we say who is the father of circulation, that's always William Harvey. So he also discovered the circulation of your body, and also he disapproved the theory of good humor hypothesis, right? In later years, biology stated that mind influences through neural system and endocrine system and our immune system, and that our immune system maintains our body. Fine. So nowadays, you all know we have different systems. We already have covered a lot in 11th syllabus, like digestive system, circulatory system. Fine. So all these systems together, they are working as a function organ system, and they're performing different functions. And this is how your entire body is coordinated. Hence, mind and mental state can affect our body. But true, it's also true that not just the immune system is causing disease, but also sometimes your mind and your mental state can also affect your body, because mental state is somehow also connected with your neural and endocrine system. So if it is not well, then maybe there can be a problems. So of course, health is affected by genetic disorders. You can have some certain disorders, genetic disorders, all right. Okay, so your health can be affected by one type of disorder, which are genetic disorders, deficiency with which a child is born, and deficiencies or defect which the child inherits from parents from birth. So genetic disorders are certain type of disorders which are present before birth and you have inherited from your parents, right? Your parents had this disease, so you are getting the disease. So these are usually related with your genes, right? So genetic disorders, they are related with your genes. Okay, then it can be due to any infection. Nowadays, you know how the infections of COVID-19 virus had lead to this pandemic. Fine, it can be the infectious disease or it can be a lifestyle disease, including food and water we take, rest, exercise we give to our bodies, habits that we have or lack, etc. So another thing, if you're not eating healthy, that's your lifestyle. If you're not moving, you're just stationary and not doing any exercises, that can lead to obesity and further different diseases. Fine. Also, there can be another thing, like you're not eating clean food. If you're not eating clean food, maybe it will contain a lot of eggs of the parasite. So all these can lead to the disease. So let's get started with the definition of health. So what is a health? A health could be defined as state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. We just cannot say if a person is not having a disease, that person is healthy. No, that's big no. We always say the person is healthy if a person is not having a disease. True, but also that person is physically, mentally, and socially active, right? It is well-being. Its well-being should be related to its body, related to its mental health, as well as how it treats the other person, how it is behaving in a society. So all these lead to a healthy individual. For example, if a person is physically fit, but it leads to a lot of fights, a person is so much in anger, and the person used to fight with everyone around the social groups, that person is not socially well, fine, so you will not consider that person as healthy. Or a person is undergoing a lot of depression, but physically that person is fine, again the person is not completely healthy. So this is a complete definition of health: state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. I suggest all of you to please write this side by side if you can. All right. Moving further to next. So this was a definition. What definition include three aspects? One is physical, mental, and social well-being. Fine. It's also written. So remember this. This is important. Fine. Okay. Moving further to next. What is a disease now? Any deviation from the normal state that causes discomfort. Now I am in a normal state, but somehow if I get infected by something, I will feel discomfort. Discomfort can be like anything. It can be a fever, body ache, it can be the cough, it can be anything, blood loss, and all this. So if you feel discomfort from your normal body activities, right? So the normal body activities gets converted into abnormal activities. You're not feeling good, you're feeling discomfort or pain. This can be known as a disease. But now how you get a disease? So disease causing agents are of different kind, right? It can be biological, can be biological. It can be physical, right? As I'm saying, the agents can be different. For example, it's biological, it's a virus. For example, I say due to temperature, people are getting fever. That's a physical factor. For example, you get fell off, right? And you get a strain or a sprain, you get a muscle pull. That's the kind of a mechanical, right? So one factor, one disease causing agents, we have biological, we have physical, mechanical, we have then chemicals, mechanicals, then we have chemicals, and the nutrient weights. Okay, now let's talk about them in detail. So the biological agents, they're usually parasites or pathogen. What are these? These can be parasites or these can be pathogens. Whereas physical, as I've told you, this can be humidity, temperature, etc. If I talk about the mechanical ones, mechanical can be like your sprain, your strain. In chemicals, we have different chemicals where people gets allergies, right? Like pollen. And nutrient, it can be nutrient deficiency like vitamin A, vitamin C, etc. Okay, for example, if you're not taking appropriate amount of a vitamin, for example, you do not have vitamin B in your body, then it can lead to a lot of disorders. Okay, for example, if you do not have a abundance of vitamin B9 and 12, it can lead to anemia. So likewise, any of these things can be a reason or an agent for your disease. So now what's the difference between a parasite and pathogen? You must be thinking. And a lot of students get confused in this manner, right? In this way, then, oh, what's a parasite? What's a pathogen? What's the difference? So parasite is someone who needs host to live on, right? So, for example, if this is a human being, this human being was fond of what? Momos, right? So that this human being was fond of dumplings or momos or anything, a street food. So she ate it from, from a place which was not completely hygienic. They were not making hygienic food. That food, it contains contaminated, water and something like that. So that contaminated water, that food, it contains a lot of eggs, fine, eggs of certain like helminthics, fine. So that eggs, it enter into the body of this person. Now this leads to formation of ascaris in the gut, fine. Now this ascaris need this person's body to grow on. So this person is the host. This person is the host. Now ascaris is a worm, guys, right? The round worm. It needs host to live on, so you will say it's a parasite. If any organism need the host to live on, because that parasite will derive food from this host, you will call it as a parasite, fine. But if this parasite is also causing a disease, it can also be a pathogen. Now what's the difference? A pathogen is someone that causes disease, okay, and parasite is someone who derive nutrition from host, nutrients or nutrition from host. But if a parasite is also causing you disease, for example, this parasite was eating a lot of your food, as a result, you got anemia, right? You got anemia or discomfort, or it damages your gut. You're getting a disease. So, a parasite can also be a pathogen. Can also be a pathogen. So, this is a difference. Now, how this pathogen, it infects your body? So, pathogen infects your body by two ways. One, it can cause a disease by destroying your tissues, directly destroying the tissues, or it can cause a disease by toxin production. It can also produce a so by any of these ways, the pathogen can cause you harm. Okay, and a parasite can also be a pathogen. Fine, if it is causing you a disease. So this is about difference of a parasite and a pathogen. I hope that's pretty clear to everyone. Fine. Now, what about the transmission? How do you get that particular pathogen in your body? If you're talking about a parasite or pathogen, how does it enters in your body? So, transmission can be of two type. It can be direct. It can be indirect. Right. So, this transmission, the transmission or spread, the transmission or spread can be of two types. It can be of two types. One is direct, in which you are getting in direct contact with that pathogen. There is no intermediate. For example, if a person is having a flu, and flu occurs due to virus, that person sneezes and the droplets gets directly into your body. That's a droplet infection. There was no medium. The organism directly enters into your body. So that's a type of a direct transmission. So droplet transmission, that means due to sneezing, coughing, where droplets of mucus loaded with these pathogen are directly coming to your body. Fine. So droplet transmission like sneezing, coughing, they come under the direct transmission. Fine. So I hope you understood what's a direct transmission is. For example, someone is having, a certain kind of a disease where the skin is infected, fine, or someone is having chicken pox, in which you get, those things on your hands and feet, fine, on your body, which is like papillae. They are filled with a lot of fluid, and that contains virus. If you get in direct in skin contact with that person or with the droplet infection, that virus can enter into your body. So skin contact is also a kind of direct transmission. Whereas an indirect one, you need a certain medium. For example, vector borne diseases. Malaria is caused by a pathogen. It's a protozoan, that's Plasmodium. But this plasmodium is, first of all, it is carried by an insect, that is that is Anopheles, which then injects that particular pathogen into your body. So again, vector borne is usually, it includes insect as a vector. Also the food and water transmission, which you also call it as feco-oral transmission. It also has certain agents which is spreading the disease. For example, that pathogen is, first of all, is present in the food, and then you have your food, and then it will enter into your body. So it's also kind of indirect. Fine. So these are two type of spread or transmission. So transmission is also known as spread, that how do you get the disease or how the disease enter into your body. So there are two ways. One is a direct and another is the fine. Okay. Next, we have the various types of disease. What are the various types of diseases you come across? So there are certain diseases which are present before birth, and there are certain which you got them after you are born. Okay, there are certain diseases, you say that that particular that child has a disease before the birth. Okay, or you must have flu. You never have flu before your birth. You never say, oh, I have flu since birth. You never say this. You get it after you are born, or you get infected from another person. Fine. So here diseases are of two type. One are the congenital diseases. One are the congenital diseases, and another are the acquired diseases. Okay, so congenital diseases are those which are present since birth. Present since birth. Okay, so these can be some genetic disorders, like there are alteration in genes. You inherit the genes from your parents. If any of our parents have certain genes that cause disease and you get it from your parents, you can get that particular disorder. Fine. Also, it can be chromosomal aberrations. You have problem in the chromosomes, have certain problems in the chromosome, like chromosomes are broken or half or different shiftings, right? Or it can also be the teratogenic defects. You must have seen the child was born with cleft palate. So this can occur due to certain chemicals if a female consumed during her pregnancy. Or if a female consumes alcohol, a lot of alcohol during pregnancy, maybe the child born can be with some mental disabilities. So teratogenic defects as well. Okay. Second are your acquired disorders or diseases. Fine. So acquired are those which you take after birth. So they come to you after. Okay, from anything, right? So they are like after birth. It can be due to, maybe you get diabetes, maybe you get heart attack, it can be a flu, it can be bacterial disease, anything like that. So one is congenital, you have got it from the birth, like since the birth, during pregnancy, and these are one which you get after the birth. Okay, so acquired are usually one which you take from the another person as well, and it can be the one which cannot be spread from one person to another. So acquired have two types. One is infectious, another is non-infectious. Okay, so infectious, they are also known as communicable, and non-infectious are non-communicable. For example, after birth you got heart attack, so that's the non-infectious. Okay, it's not like if a person is having heart attack, the another person will also get it. It's never like that. It never transmit from one person to another. Or diabetes, or allergies. For example, if I'm allergic to certain things, like for example, if a person is allergic to peanuts, it doesn't mean the other person will also get the allergy. So all these are somehow non-communicable. You get it after your birth, but they will not spread from one person to another. Second are the infectious one, which get transmitted from one person to another. Now, what are these? These are like flu, bacterial diseases, right? Flu is a viral, so I will write viral disease. Or it can be anything. It's like helminthic diseases. It can be fungal diseases. These are all communicable. Now, what about the HIV/AIDS that the baby gets from the mother through placenta? What about that? Will it come in the category of congenital, or it will come under the category of acquired? If I'm talking about the fetus is getting HIV/AIDS from the mother through placenta, the child is getting a disease from another person, that's mother. It will come under the category of infectious, acquired. Though the person is having that disease before birth, but still it will not come under the category of this congenital. Fine. Congenital are usually the defects in your body which you have got from you have inherited from your parents. It's inbuilt defect. It's not due to some other agents. Okay. Whereas the acquired actually says you are getting it afterwards. It can be due to your lifestyle change, which are usually non-infectious, and the one which are due to certain agents, these are infectious. So if a fetus is getting the HIV/AIDS from mother during pregnancy, you will consider it under the okay. All right. So this was about what are the various types of diseases we have. So let's discuss about them. So we'll start with the viral diseases first. Obviously, the viral diseases are caused by the viruses. So let's start with the first disease, and the first one is your flu or common cold. Flu or the common cold flu or the common cold, it is caused by a virus, which is a rhinovirus. Rhinovirus. What is the way of the spread? How does it spread? The first thing is droplet infection. That is through sneezing, coughing that I have told you. It can also be due to fomite infection. What is a fomite infection? Fomite infection is an infection that takes place through non-living things or objects. Through non-living things or objects. Okay, for example, if a person is having flu, that person scratch the nose and then open the door with touching the door knob with that hand only. That person will get, that person has flu and it has touched the doorknob with that hand, with the same hand the person has scratched the nose. Now the another healthy person came, the person touched the doorknob and again opened the door, and somehow accidentally that person also touches the nose. The virus through the doorknob has entered into the person. Simple. Now what will happen? The healthy person will get attacked by this virus, that is a rhinovirus. Now what are the symptoms? First symptom is rhinitis. Rhino word is always used for nose, so that is inflammation in the nasal passages. Is rhinitis, inflammation in nasal passages. Okay, that person gets redness in the entire nose and its passages. So the first symptom is rhinitis. The person will show a lot of sneezing. It may show coughing, fever, nasal discharge, sore throat. What is sore throat? That you feel whenever you get flu, you feel a little, irritation in your throat. That's a sore throat. And your voice get heavy. So you will say hoarseness in voice. Okay. The voice is not normal. It changes like this. Okay. And also this all these symptoms, if you have noticed, all these symptoms, it remains active for some days and later on it will go away. And how many days the symptoms remain? It remains for around 3 to 7. There are no such treatment to kill these viruses, but the doctor usually give you antibiotics. What's the reason? Antibiotics are used to kill bacteria, but why are they given in? They are giving in the treatment of viruses. The reason is because when you are attacked by a virus, listen to me. There is a lot of thing people don't understand about it. Why the doctor is giving antibiotics while you are having flu? The reason is while you are attacked by a virus, your immunity gets low because your immunity is fighting. So, in that meanwhile, no other bacteria will come and take that opportunity to infect you. So, meanwhile, we make sure that other bacteria should not attack your system, and if they are coming in, they should be killed. Fine. So that's why doctor give antibiotics during the all right. Otherwise, it has nothing to do by for killing of the. So this was about your common cold. And one more thing that you need to understand here: the lungs are never affected. Common cold, lungs are never infected. It only infects the upper passages. Okay. All right. Sometimes Hindi moves out from my mouth because that's what I use every day. So the thing is, your lungs are never infected. What is infected then? You're just upper nasal passages and mostly the trachea or the bronchi in certain cases. So this is about your disease, first viral disease. That's a common cold. Let's talk about the another viral disease. What's that? That's your mumps. Let's talk about mumps. So this mumps, who causes mumps? First of all, who causes? So the mumps is also known as infectious parotiditis. Parotiditis. Why it is known as parotiditis? Because parotiditis means inflammation in parotid gland. Inflammation in parotid. So where is the parotid gland present? Parotid gland is present just below the ear towards the cheek. So somehow if you get infected by a virus and the name of the virus is paramyxovirus, the causative agent is paramyxo, what will happen? So we'll get inflammation here, inflammation and inflammation, the organs get red and they start producing excessive fluid. So also here you will see that the parotid gland of that person will have large size. As a result, there is a swelling on the face. The person's cheeks will be swollen. Fine. So this is what happened in the parotiditis, and the disease also known as mumps. So how can you prevent yourself from this disease? So there is one thing that helps you to be away from this virus, and that's again you all know, it's all our vaccine. So what is this vaccine? This is MMR. MMR vaccine is a combination vaccine. Combination vaccines are those vaccines in which there are these are made in a combination form for more than to cure more than one type of a disease. Fine. So for example, this M in MMR starts for mumps, so it will prevent you from mumps, and another M stands for measles, and this is for rubella virus. Rubella virus causes German measles. Fine, whereas measles is caused by rubeola virus. So, what's the symptom of these measles? What's the symptom of measles? Though the causative agent is different, but the symptoms are altogether same, somewhat. For example, in this measles, you will get red colored patches or spots in your entire body. There are watery eyes. People with who are infectious with this type of a virus, they will have watery eyes. The water is flowing away from the eyes. So here, the person will also have fever, red patches on body, and watery eye. Okay, so MMR is it's a vaccine that is used against three type of. All right, moving further to the next, that is a poliomyelitis or infantile paralysis. So what is this? So you all must have heard of the word polio. Polio drops. It's quite common in India. So Poliomyelitis is also known as infantile paralysis. Infant is a child that's newborn, or the child below the age of 1 year is considered as infant. Since it infects more to the infant, so that's why it is also known as infantile. What about paralysis? Because the paralysis of muscle takes place in this. So, what is a causative agent against again a virus? That's a poliovirus. The poliovirus. So, this virus it enters into the body through fecal-oral transmission. That means by contaminated food and water. By contaminated. Okay, so it enters into the body through contaminated food and water, and the virus was the poliovirus. Fine. So this poliovirus, how it enters into body, as I've told you, through water. For example, someone has consumed water that has this virus. Once the water enter into the gut, once the water enter into the gut, this particular virus will start multiplying in the gut, and later on it will enter into the body. Fine. So first of all, where it will go? It will go into the gut. So see here, and through gut it will go into the nervous system, and through the nervous system it will damage the dorsal root ganglion. Dorsal root. Okay, so this dorsal root ganglion, once it gets damaged, it will not send the motor impulses to your. So there are no motor impulses. If there are no motor impulses, no muscle movement, and the muscle will undergo paralysis. So that's why, if you have noticed, the people who actually are diseased, which have polio disease type of people, they have, one reduced leg, because the dorsal root ganglion is not sending impulses to the legs. As a result, the muscle will not function, and the size of the leg will reduce, because the muscles, it provides shape to your body, right? So this is what happened in the poliomyelitis. All right, moving further to the next, that's rabies virus. Rabies is a disease, and the virus here is the disease. Rabies is okay, whereas a virus is a rhabdovirus. So, rabies occurs due to the biting of carnivore. Can be wolf, jackal, dog, cat, anything. Fine. So, rabies occurs due to biting of animals. And these animals can be dog, can be cat, it can be wolf, jackal, anything. Fine. When they bite you, and this virus will enter in. Fine. So now this virus has entered into your body. Now what it will do? It is a kind of a highly fatal disease. That means it occurs to a person, the person will. Now what happened here is, during this disease, for example, it usually occurs to dogs. From dogs, it can enter into us, right? You must have heard mad dog. That's a mad dog. So that dog, you will see it has excessive salivation as fine. So here what happened is, the dog will become hydrophobic, and there will be chalk throat. Okay. Hydrophobic means fear of water. The dog will be having a lot of fear of water. Why? Because whenever the chalk is thrown here, fine, whenever that dog will drink water, the dog will not be able to breathe, because the water gets stuck there, because it is not going to get enter into the esophagus. Okay, that's why the dog gets fearful of the water, because the dog thinks, whenever I'll drink the water, I will not be able to breathe. Fine. This is what happened in the rabies, and it's, yes, it's 100% fatal, but we have vaccine here. We have vaccine to prevent this disease. That's a rabies. That's why the dogs are vaccinated timely, time to time, against the rabies. Fine. So this is about the viral diseases. Let's talk about the bacterial disease. Let's start with the cholera. So next are the bacterial diseases, and the first one is cholera. So what's the causative agent of cholera? That's Vibrio cholerae. Okay, so Vibrio cholerae is the bacteria that causes this disease. And how does it enter into your body? It enters through fecal-oral transmission. That means by consuming contaminated food and water. So what happened in this disease? This bacteria secretes toxin. This bacteria secrete toxin. As a result, the chloride ion channels open. So when the chloride ion channels open, there is excessive loss of water from your body. As a result, that causes excessive dehydration, and in some cases, it can lead to death as well. Right? So fecal-oral transmission. The bacteria here, bacteria produces toxin that opens chloride ion channel. What they cause? It causes dehydration. So what's the treatment? You can give ORS to. Alright. That's the first disorder in bacterial, the cholera. The next one we have is typhoid. Typhoid is also known as enteric fever. So what's the meaning of enteric? Whenever the word enteric comes, that means it is somehow related with. So this typhoid is caused by bacterium Salmonella typhi. So its history is related with typhoid Mary. She was a cook by profession, and she was a carrier of this. Was a carrier of. And you know what does carrier do? To them, the bacteria cannot do anything, but whom they are spreading, that person may get a disease. So she was a cook by the profession, and wherever she cooked, she added through her contaminated hand, she added that bacterium to the food, and person eventually they get the typhoid and they die. What does typhoid bacteria do in your body? This bacteria causes gut perforations, small holes in the gut. That causes like fever, right? Because there is a perforation. The person will not get food to the body, fine, and as a result, there is a loss of weight, loss of appetite as well. Okay, again, as I've told you, its transmission is oral, oral. That means then what? So, what's a test to confirm that a person is having the disease or not? That is a Vidal test. Vidal test, you can confirm whether a person is having typhoid or. Okay, that's about the typhoid. That's enteric fever, and it is also associated with the gut. So, most of the disorders which are associated with your gut, they are spread through fecal transmission, contaminated food. Moving further to the next, that's your diphtheria. So this is the one which is related with your respiratory tract. Fine. So all right, back. So the next disorder we have is diphtheria. So typhoid and cholera was related with gut, whereas diphtheria is related with your respiratory system. Okay. So this is caused by the bacterium, that is Corynebacterium diphtheria. So this bacteria, it grows in the wall of respiratory. Okay, if this is a respiratory tract, this bacteria will grow here and causes gray color membrane. So the membrane here will be of the gray color. That's the symptom of the diphtheria. Okay, so here the bacteria will grow on the wall of respiratory tract and the wall color will be gray. And here the person will face difficulty in breathing. So here the person will feel difficulty in breathing. Okay, I think that's not so blue color, right? Difficulty. So there is a vaccine for this disease, and again, this vaccine is a combination vaccine. DPT. D for diphtheria, P for pertussis, and T for tetanus. Okay, that's a vaccine for these three. Let's talk about the other diseases, which is pertussis. Pertussis is also known as whooping cough. Call pertussis, you call pertussis as whooping cough. So there is a cough with a sound, the sound. Okay, so whenever person will cough here, the person will show a wheezing sound here, and this occurs due to a bacterium, which is Bordetella. Yeah, but again, since it is respiratory disorder, so whenever this bacteria, it will enter through droplet infection, because all respiratory or virus enter through droplet infection. It will enter into the respiratory tract, grow there, and whenever you will breathe, because the walls are weaker here, it will cause a sound here. So the bacteria infects wall of respiratory. Okay, again, you know, the vaccine is available, that's DPT. Next we have is tetanus. Tetanus is also known as locked, and this occurs due to bacterium Clostridium tetani. Clostridium tetani. This bacterium, which is Clostridium, this enters through cuts. For example, if you met with an accident or somehow you get a cut through some metal, the spores of these bacteria can be present on metal, soil, or something like that. And these, spores of bacteria outside our body or body of the host, it can survive for up to 60 years there. So whenever you get a cut, get in contact, your blood gets contact in the with the soil. In soil, there may be present these, then spores will enter into your body. So how will they enter? Enter through wounds. Wound, or I hope I have written. I think the spelling is correct. I will write it. So through cuts. Okay, that is all right. Okay. So once it enter, then what will happen? The spores enter. Okay, so for example, this is the spore. The spore will grow and it will become the bacteria. Okay. Now what this bacteria will do? It will produce toxin. And this toxin will causes excessive, what? It will causes excessive exocytosis of presynaptic vesicles. Now what are these presynaptic vesicles? What I am talking about? If you remember, in the nervous system, there was a presynaptic neuron, postsynaptic. So this presynaptic neuron, it contains synaptic vesicle, and these synaptic vesicles, it contains so we'll be studying this in the next lecture. I'll be teaching. So this when this exocytosis occurs, all these things, it will bind to, all these neurotransmitter bind to this neuron, and neuron, it starts work. Okay. So these are what? These are the neurotransmitter. So this neurotransmitter is released through the process known as exocytosis, and it binds to neuron, and the neuron will function. Okay. So what if this was all done after a time interval? What if something comes there and it excessive exocytosis, excessive release of neuron will keep on working, and hence the muscle will work. So this is what happened in the tetanus. Tetanus, the neuro so much that the muscle contracts so much, after that it gets fatigue and it will not contract at all. For example, due to excessive neurotransmitter, this muscle is continuously contracting. Now this neurotransmitter is done, finished. So the time wherever the muscle is moving, it will just stuck there. Jaw will also stuck there. So it is known as the locked. This is a thing. This is how the bacterium, it causes locked jaw. What is known as a locked jaw? Because in tetanus, what happens is, in tetanus there is sustained muscular contraction. have done in the locomotion. All right. So this is about the tetanus. Again, in tetanus, we have different type of things to tetani. For example, we have DPT as a vaccine, and whenever you get a cut, you go to doctor. The doctor give you certain right. Now, what are these? These are the injections of tetanus toxoid. Also a type of vaccine, and it will also give you some serum in which antibodies are present, which are against your this. Fine. So this is what about this is all about the tetanus. Let's move further and talk about the pneumonia. This is very very important here. So pneumonia is the lower respiratory tract disease. Okay, and this pneumonia is caused by different types of organism. So pneumonia is of two type. One is atypical pneumonia and another is a typical pneumonia. The typical pneumonia is a pneumonia which is caused by bacteria like streptococcus, diplococcus, right, hemophilus. So all these they cause typical type of pneumonia. Pneumonia can also be caused by some viruses, mycoplasma, helminthic. Helminthics are what? These fine. Can also be caused by some fine. So this is the how the bacteria it is type depending upon the causative. Now what happened in so if you have this your alveoli, this is alveoli. Alveoli are grape-like structures present in your lungs. You all know that, and they are the main site of gaseous. Okay, and also respiratory tract. It also contains mucus cell. It contains mucus cell. So what happen if you are attacked by these bacterium? For example, these are the okay. These bacteria will grow. As a result, the inflammation will start, and these mucus cell will produce a lot amount of mucus. Lot of mucus is produced. This mucus will accumulate in the alveoli. Also, this bacteria will causes pores during the infection, and the fluid present outside the alveoli, which is interstitial fluid, it will enter into the lumen. This is lumen. As a result, in this entire lumen, there are two things that are filling the lungs despite of the gases, which is interstitial fluid and mucus. Whenever there is more of the interstitial fluid and mucus, there will be less area for the exchange because the fluid is accumulating here. Fine. So there will be decreased surface area for exchange. Fine. There is decreased surface area for the exchange. This as a result, the oxygen will move less inside and CO2 will accumulate more in the body. Now what condition will appear? Because in body CO2 is produced, so since there is a lot of fluid, so gases will not get exchanged. Also the wall had been destroyed, so the CO2 will not move out and oxygen will not move in. As a result, there is a condition of cyanosis. Cyanosis means increase in CO2, and whenever there is increase in CO2, there is blue coloration of blood. So that's why that person's fingernails will appear if a person is having fine. That's about the pneumonia. Let's move further and talk about the another disorders like tuberculosis, commonly known as TB. So this is caused by the bacterium which is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So you must have heard of a tuberculosis that it's a disease of the lungs. All know that, right? But tuberculosis is not just the disease of lungs. It is of various types. There are tuberculosis which are pulmonary, that are infected. There can be tuberculosis of brain. There can be tuberculosis of your kidney as well. Fine. The tuberculosis bacterium, it actually destroys the tissues of the body. Can be any tissue, can be a lung tissue, it can be brain tissue. Since the transmission is mostly droplet, that is sneezing and coughing. So that's why the most common one or the most infectious one is the pulmonary. So what does this bacteria do? It causes destruction of body tissue, right? So these body tissue, it can be lungs, brain, your kidney, can be liver, etc. Right? The most common is this one, pulmonary tuberculosis, the lungs, which infects the lungs. Okay. So the infection is droplet here. That is through, sneezing or through your coughing and all. Fine. So infection is a droplet here, and this destroys a lot of tissues of your lungs. The person here have a lot of fever. What's the symptom here? The fever, loss of weight, excessive coughing, mucus with the blood comes out. Call it as, also known as sputum. Sputum, it will comes out with the blood. So what's the treatment of this tuberculosis? The treatment is dots, directly observed treatment dot course. Okay, so this is a 6-month course in which the patient is given a group of antibiotics in directly observation of doctor or the nurse. Fine. So why they are keeping people in direct observation? Reason is because this bacteria is drastic. Fine. So if you give a combination of antibiotic to a person doesn't take it for proper time, or the person miss, the bacteria may get resistant. Okay, so we don't want to do that. So we keep people in observation and we make sure that they take time. So for more information process, you can also watch the shorts we have made W English. Okay, all right. So this is about the bacterial diseases. So next diseases are the fungal diseases. The infection or the fungal disease are also known as dermatophytosis, tinea or mycosis. Dermatophytosis because it is basically related with your skin. Tinea, this is different tinea. One tinea you have studied in the Helminthic, TAENIA, but this is different. And then mycosis. Mycology is the study of fungus. You must have done in the botany. Also, it is known as ringworms. You must have seen in the advertisements, right? Ringworms. Yeah, there is an advertisement of some tubes, you put it on the ringworm. There is an advertisement where the person is scratching all the way on the neck and everything because he's having that itch due to the weather and a lot of sweat. So that's, yes, we are discussing about that disease. So here, the dermatophytosis, mycosis, or ringworm are the disease or the infection that is caused by fungus. So what are the group of fungus that cause this disease? Not all the fungus cause this disease. Fine, there are a lot of fungus you have studied in your, botany. Like one fungus is mushroom that you eat, but that is not causing you disease. So three genera of fungus that cause disease. One is trichophyton that infects your skin, hair, and nail. One is microsporum that infects your skin and hair, and one is epidermophyton. One is, okay, one is epidermophyton that infects your skin and nails. Fine. For example, if someone's skin, hair, and nails, if I'm saying someone got an infection on skin, someone got ringworm on the skin, that may be caused by the trichophyton. There can be chances it is caused by microsporum or epidermophyton. Fine. But epidermophyton you will not find in the person who have infection in the hair. You will not find the microsporum who have infection in the nails. So they are very specific towards infection. Like trichophyton infects all the three things. So how to remember it? Tri means three. So it affects all the three portion of your body. Fine. If I'm talking about the micro means very small. Micro means very small. So it will be in the skin and hair. Hair, you can't see small things. The dandruff is also very small. Fine. Epidermophyton. Epidermis is your this skin on which your nails are present. Fine. So this is how you can learn all of this. But what are the condition, or what are the things that a fungus should have to grow, and how it gets transmitted, or how you get this disease? Let's see. So the fungus needs certain environment to grow. If the fungus if the fungus got the damp condition, the wet condition, and the hot climate, the fungus will grow. The fungus need only two things: damp and hot condition. And also, if the person is unhygienic, that means the person does not take bath daily. And for example, there is an athlete used to play in soils and all. In soil there are spores of fungus. If a person doesn't take bath regularly, the person is athlete and come across a lot of soil all the time, so there are chances the person can get the fungal infection. Now, how does this fungal infection gets transmitted from one person to another? So it can be transmitted by use of infected comb, towel, or clothes. For example, if someone is infected with fungus in your house, and if you use a towel or clothes, you can also get. Make sure not to use their belongings. Fine. Okay. So this fungus grow on the damp, hot, and unhygienic condition, and it can spread from one person to another if you use their things, if a person is infected. Now, what are the various types of these diseases? For example, I call this disease as tinea. Now, what are the various kinds of tinea further? Okay, let's see. All right. So one type of tinea is tinea cruis. One type of fungal disease is tinea pedis. Okay. Then we have another category. For example, if a person's groin region is infected. Groin region is the area between the legs towards your genitals. If person's genitals or groin area is infected, groin or genital area, I will call this fungal disease as tinea cruis. If a person's feet is infected, and what portion in the feet? Let's see. This is the thumb, right, toe. These are the fingers. Usually, this nail and this portion gets infected. This nail and this portion gets infected most of the time. And since this type of fungal disease is most in athletes, because they are always in the soil in just one pair of socks and one pair of shoes, so they are mostly likely to have this fungal disease, because there is accumulation of sweat and our soil is there, unhygienic conditions are there, hot and damp conditions are there. So that's why tinea pedis is also known as athlete's foot. Fine, guys, right? So athlete's foot, in this foot is infected. So most of you must be knowing pedicure. Pedicure is a type of thing they do in the parlors where they clean your foot. So from this pedis word came. Tinea capitis. Capit means head. So in this, the hair on head is infected. So in these type of people which are infected by this disease, you will see if this is a head, round patches of no hair, round patches in which there are no hair will be seen. For example, these are hair of a person. So here you will see the hair, but on the round patches there will be no hair. See, this person in, in no way this is in no way this looks like a head, right? But see, if these are the hair, the green hair, maybe the person has done the dyes or something. These will be patches of no hair. This region will be, so there can be fall of hair in this condition. Okay. Then another one we have is tinea. Okay. Another one we have is tinea barbarae. Who goes to barber's shop? Men, and they go for making their beard. Fine. So if someone is infected, someone's beard is infected with fungus infection, and the same blade is used for the another person as well, one person disease can be spread to the another. You can see this is a chin of a person, and his entire this thing is in. Can you see? Right? So Tinea barbarae is on beard. Beard is infected. So depending upon, for example, if someone gets the disease on the genital area, what will doctor write? Doctor will write you are suffering from tinea cruis. So you'll get to know tinea is a fungal infection and cruis is that area where it is infected. Which area? The groin or the fine. So what the measures can you take to prevent this disease? Definitely take bath daily. First of all, be hygienic, and also do not use the belongings of the people who are already by this disease. Fine. So this was all about the fungal diseases. Let's move forward and talk about the helminthic diseases. So the in helminthic, first disease we have is Ascariasis. Ascariasis is caused by a roundworm, and this roundworm is Ascaris. It is Ascaris. Ascaris is a roundworm. How does it look like? It looks like long noodles. Fine, like this. It looks like noodles. Really, it looks like. So, this is scaris. It comes to your body through contaminated food and water. Fine. For example, you have had the contaminated food, the eggs will enter into your body. In your body, they will grow. So, it's basically a parasite. The worm, it's a parasite. So, this one, it's adult, it live in your small intestine. Small intestine. So, how does it enter into your body? Through fecal-oral transmission. Through fecal-oral transmission. Fine. That means you had contaminated food. In your body, it will enter and it will become adult. Now, what this adult can do in your body? Because it lives in small intestine, first of all, it can, first of all, it can cause overcrowding there and hence lead to the blockage, intestinal blockage. As a result, your intestine has to swell up and it can cause abdominal pain and cramps. Fine. So, it will cause intestinal blockage, intestinal blockage, abdominal cramps. Okay, so you will feel the pain in the abdomen and you will say, oh my god, my stomach is so much paining. In some cases, you can also feel a lot of hunger. You will also feel a lot of hunger. Why? Because they are so much that they have eaten all of your food. As a result, because they are eating your food, you will not get enough food, and then your body is not getting proper nourishment, and what will happen? You will get anemic. You will lose some of your weight, right? Loss of weight. Because why? Because they are eating all your food. Anemia can also occur in these cases, right? Even sometimes they get so much that the intestine gets rupture. Fine. So this is what they do. So you will get two type of ascaris. Ascaris is a male as well as the female, and female is longer than the, right? So you must have done it in the animal kingdom if I'm not wrong. Okay, so this was about the disease, which is ascariasis, caused by a roundworm known as the scaris. This is the scientific name. It lives in our small intestine and causes the, right. Okay, moving further to the next one, next disease, which is again the helminthic, the worm disease, and this is your elephantiasis. Elephantiasis or filariasis. Elephantiasis or filariasis, it is caused by Wuchereria bancrofti. It is also the Ascalmenthis. It is also Ascalmenthis, and this is, its common name is filarial worm. Common name is filarial worm. Fine. Now what happen is it cannot directly enter into your body. Like as caris was entering through contaminated food, this doesn't enter like this. It needs someone. The transmission is indirect. Now what is that someone? It's vector borne, so it is insect. So that insect, the female Culex mosquito. Which mosquito? The female Culex mosquito. For example, if this is a female Culex mosquito, this mosquito bites this infected man. Okay, I will show you what this is. We just make that suspense right now. See, this person is infected from this disease. Okay, this person will take eggs from the blood vessels of this person. Okay, now this Culex will fly away, with these eggs in its body, and it will bite the healthy person. Okay, so the infected person have, for example, eggs. Now this Culex, what is this? This is the Culex, female Culex mosquito. It will take away the eggs. It can be larva as well. These are basically larva, not the eggs. Now it will bite the healthy person, and here the eggs or larva enters the healthy person. Okay, now what the larva is going to do in this healthy person? The larva here, it will grow, and it will become adult. Okay, now this adult will block the blood vessel and lymph vessel in the person. And as a result, for example, if this is a blood vessel, this larva, it's a blood vessel, or you can say the lymph vessel. First of all, it goes to blood vessel, then it will go to lymph vessel. If this is a lymph vessel, the larva is present here, and it has become adult now. Okay, this will now cause the blockage or obstruction in the blood vessel. It will cause the blockage or obstruction in the blood vessel. As a result, all the water will move outside. Water will move outside towards the tissues. Towards what? Toward tissues, and tissues will swell. As a result, when the tissues swell, the body organs will look like this. Fine. So this is what happened in the elephantiasis or filariasis. Since the leg appears like a leg of the elephant, that's why the disease is known as elephantiasis. So if someone asks you, what causes elephantiasis? You will say the causative agent is the causative agent is Wuchereria bancrofti, and this Wuchereria bancrofti is basically the Helminthic. It's a Esculmenthes. If someone asks you what is the vector here, the vector is female Culex. And what does it basically affect in your body? It affects your lymph vessel, because the adult causes blockage here. As a result, all the water will go into the tissues, and tissues will swell, and the leg appear like a leg of the elephant. This is what happened in elephantiasis. So we have done 2 helminthic diseases. Let's talk about the third one. Which we were talking during the fungal disease, and that's the teniasis. Teniasis is caused by Taenia solium, which is a tapeworm. This tapeworm, it also lives in your small intestine. It lives in the small intestine. Okay, so this Taenia solium, how does it enters into your body? So this Taenia solium has 2 hosts to live in. The primary host, the main host, is definitely a man, and the secondary host is pig. Okay, so how does its life cycle goes on? The adult live in our intestine. Okay, for example, if this is your intestine, So adult, they are very long ribbon like. The adult will be present here. So they have these sections, the body, which are pseudo segmentations, and this is how it looks like. It has suckers and it can easily, stick to your small intestine and eat your food. So this adult here, definitely because it's adult, and it will give a lot of eggs. Will give a lot of eggs, just like in Ascaris. And eggs will move out. Eggs will move out through feces. Eggs will move out through feces. Okay, what are these? They're eggs. Now these eggs through feces, it will move out and it will become larva. The larva's name is oncosphere larva. Now larva will change its shape and it will become hexacanth larva. It will become hexacanth larva. It's changing it. Okay. Now hexacanth will be consumed by pig. And in pig, it will change into another larva, which is Cysticercus. And this larva is present in muscle of pig. In muscle of pig. Okay. So, people eat pork, which is a muscle of the pig only. So, if someone is eating this muscle, if a man is eating this measly pork means infected pork. This will enter into the intestine of person, and this larva will grow into the adult. And again, the life cycle will go on because the feces will move out. Okay. In the water, it will gets converted into these larva. Pigs, they are here and there in the these condition, in the bad water conditions like sewage and all. They will be eating these larva. They will be finishing up their life cycle. So this is how we say they have two hosts. One is a primary, the main host. Another is a secondary host, that's pig. So this is how it can cause a lot of destruction in the small intestine, just like Ascaris, and it is eating up all your food and making you anemic. So this is the teniasis caused by tapeworm Taenia solium, and this belongs to phylum Platyhelminthes, whereas this one belongs to Ascalmenthes. This one belongs to, again, fine. So this was about the helminthic diseases. Let's talk about more serious one, and that's protozoan. In protozoan, we'll be discussing about the malaria. The malaria. Okay. So first of all, from where does this word came, malaria? Mal means bad and area means air. So earlier people used to think that this disease occurs due to bad airs in the surrounding. That's why a lot of people are infecting. But later on, it got to know that this is not just caused due to bad air. Rather, the causative agent is a protozoan, that's Plasmodium. Plasmodium is the one that caused the disease, and it's a protozoan. Plasmodium, they are of different type. One, like we have Plasmodium ovale, have Plasmodium malariae, right? We have Plasmodium falciparum. We also have Plasmodium vivax. Okay, Plasmodium vivax. So there are four kind of Plasmodium that causes you malaria. So the most common one is usually ovale, and the first one to get discovered was malaria. Okay, out of all this, the most fatal one is falciparum. Falci, F for falci, F for fatal, the most fatal one, and it causes you malignant malaria. Malignant word we usually use for spreading faster, anything that spreads so much faster in your body. Because this one destroys your RBC faster than the others, so that's why you call it as a malignant malaria. Fine. Now let's talk about how does it enters in your body. Because this is a causative agent and this will cause you disease, so it must be needing host because you are the host. So the primary host in all of this is definitely man. So the primary host in all of this is man. So I'm writing here, the primary host is man. But how does it enter into your body? Again, through vector, and that vector is female Anopheles mosquito. female Anopheles mosquito. So you must be wondering, in the filariasis, there was again female Culex mosquito. Here it is also female. What about males? Is it feminism? No, nothing like that. The female lays egg, right? The female has, like, female is not here to cause you disease. She's not knowing that she's causing disease to. Actually, the female lays egg to have your blood. The female needs your blood because for laying of eggs, the iron is very much important, and iron is present in your blood. So that female, when she bites you, she accidentally gives you plasma. Okay, she accidentally gives you plasmodium. So this is how the disease gets spread from one person to another. So what does female inject? So we'll start the cycle here. First of all, the female bites you on your hand. For example, this is hand and the female is biting you. Now, what stage the female is biting you? Okay, like the hands are of two sides. So we'll start from here. Okay, pardon. So here, the female is biting you and the cycle starts from here. So what female is injecting here? The female is injecting you a stage that is known as sporozoid. So the female is injecting you, sporozoid. Okay. So this sporozoid through the blood will go to your liver. Where it is going? It is going into your liver. So this organ is your liver. In the liver, this sporozoid will multiply asexually. So here they are multiply asexually. Asexual reproduction. Okay. So sporozoids in the liver, it will multiply asexually. And then after completing the asexual reproduction, the merozoites will be formed. What will be formed? The merozoites will be formed. So here I'm writing merozoites are formed. The merozoites will be of two types. One is a smaller one, another is a larger one. Right? I'm telling you here one more time. I'm just making it again here. For example, the insects bite and the sporozoid enters into the liver cell. This is a liver cell, hepatocyte. Now this will undergo asexual reproduction and it will form merozoid. What do you call it as? Merozoid. And this asexual reproduction, but what is happening here? Asexual reproduction. You will call it as schizogony. Will you call it as schizogony? Now these merozoids, after a lot of reproduction, they will keep on infecting the new cells. For example, now they will enter into the another fresh liver cell and there they will again divide. After so many rounds of asexual reproduction, two type of merozoids will be formed. One are larger in size, another are very smaller in size. Okay, these are micromerozoids. Micromerozoids, and these are macromerozoids. So this is all is happening in this stage of life cycle. In this stage, it is all happening what I have taught you right now. Out of these, which are micro, the smaller merozoid, the micro one, the smaller merozoid, what they will do? They will enter into your RBC. Now another asexual reproduction cycle will move in the RBC. Okay, the macro one are larger, so they cannot enter into your RBC. The smaller one can easily enter into your RBC. Now they will enter into RBC, and again you can say, see, they are reproducing asexual. They are reproducing asexual. Okay, here at last stage, the RBC will produce so many of these small merozoid, and later on this RBC will burst open, and hemoglobin in the RBC will also get destroyed. The hemoglobin of the RBC will also get destroyed. Fine. So here let's see. The micro one, they are going to enter into RBC. This is your RBC. They are going to enter here. Okay. Here these RBC, these micro ones, they are going to divide. Okay. So after division, this RBC is going to burst. This RBC is going to burst, and these are going to get released. Along with this, the broken down hemoglobin, listen to me very carefully, the broken down hemoglobin will also be released. And this broken hemoglobin is forming certain small granule. If the hemoglobin will destroy, it gets broken down, it will form hemozoin granule. So here, along with these merozoids, what is released? Hemozoin granules are released. hemozoin granules are released. And whenever these granules are released, a person will get fever because they will bind to your body. Your immune system will recognize hemozoin granule, and now the body will think someone has entered. All this way, the body doesn't know what's going, the immune system doesn't know what's going in the body. Why? Because everything is happening inside the cell. Everything is happening inside the cell. So, immune system has no clue what's going on. But here, due to release of hemozoin granule, the body gets an idea that someone has entered into the body, and the body will raise the temperature. This is how after so many days of infection. Infection occurs here. Around 14 days of the infection, the body will gives you fever. Okay, that's why malaria is dangerous, because 14 days a lot of destruction has been there in the body. It's occurring in the body, but your immune has no clue about it. Okay, that's why liver is the first organ to get damaged during malaria. So now these will form gametocytes. Now these merozoites, they gets converted into progametocyte. Pro are immature gametocytes. These gametocytes need these gametocytes needs high humidity and low temperature to get mature. But your body is at fever. The temperature is high, humidity is low. So these gametocytes will not grow here. These gametocytes will not grow here. So let's move here. So first of all, the mosquito bit you. The asexual reproduction starts here. Micromerozoites form. They infected your RBC. Again, asexual starts. And now what are formed here? What are formed here? The gametocytes. Now the development of this gametocyte will stop here. In your body, it will not take place. Why? Your body is showing you fever. Now again, the mosquito will bite. It can be a different mosquito. It can be the same as well by chance. Now again, if the mosquito bites, the gametocyte will enter into the mosquito's gut. Gametocyte will enter into mosquito's gut. Now what will happen? Let's see. For example, here the mosquito bites you. Mosquito bites. Okay. Now these gametocyte will enter into the gut, to the gut of the Anopheles, female Anopheles. Now these gametocytes, they are going to change their shapes and the reproduction will take place. Which reproduction? Sexual. Because these are gametocyte. Gametocytes fuse in sexual reproduction. Okay. Now they will form zygote. They will form zygote. This zygote will become motile. So this is motile zygote. And motile zygote is known as eukinete. It is known as eukinete. This motile zygote will now, okay, this motile zygote will now binds to the wall of the gut. What is this? Gut wall of the gut and undergoes sporulation. And it will form a lot of sporozoites. Okay. And these sporozoites are released in hemolymph. In hemolymph. Okay. If you don't understand this, let me explain you very simply. For example, if this is the insect, this is the insect, and this is the insect's gut. You know, the insect have open circulatory system and they do not have a blood vessel. So in the gut, this zygote has penetrated the wall and now it is going sporulation and forming sporozoid. It is forming a lot of sporozoid. So these empty spaces, they are known as hemocoel. These are known as hemocoel, and the fluid is hemolymph. It is known as hemolymph. So in the hemolymph, we have these sporozoids. We have these sporozoid. And this hemolymph is like a blood of insect. And it's moving in the body. From this blood, through this circulation, these sporozoid will enter into the salivary gland. To what? Salivary gland. So these sporozoids, they are entering into the salivary. Okay. So now from this salivary gland, when the mosquito will bite, these sporozoid will enter into another human. Okay. So we are here now. Track it. So these sporozoid, they enter into salivary gland through hemolymph. And from salivary gland, it will enter into human when the mosquito bites. So mosquito is biting here and mosquito is biting here. So if we see into this diagram, you can see gametocyte enter into this. Fertilization takes place in mosquito's gut. The sporozoids present in salivary gland will be entering through the salivary gland into the another person's by bite of the mosquito. So this is how everything goes on, and this is how the malaria cycle it moves. So if someone asks you where do the asexual reproduction takes place, in the vector or in the man, the primary host, you will say asexual takes place in the man. Then where does the sexual take place? The sexual reproduction, as you can see, it takes place in the gut of the man. Where have what we have done here, that the fertilization, which one, the sexual one, is taking place in the gut of, okay, whereas the asexual one, this was completely asexual, the zygony, it takes place in the man. So this is all about the malaria life cycle. Let's move further. So as I've told you, see, this is the greatest mosquito I have ever drawn. Okay, so how can you prevent yourself from this disease, malaria? Yes, you can take treatments, definitely. Quinine. Quinine is the drug used to cure malaria. It is extracted from cinchona tree bark. So this is the most commonly used drug against. What are the other preventive things you can do? First of all, if you know, the people of municipality, they come and ask you during raining season, do you have coolers in your air coolers in your house? Yes or no, they ask you. And then they will ask you whether there is water accumulation, nearby water bodies there around your house, or any accumulated water. Are your tanks open or closed? Fine. So they will ask you certain question. Why? Because the mosquitoes breed on the open water. So there should be no open accumulated water. Why? Because the mosquitoes breed there. If it is there, then what will you do? You will clean it. So we have to clean the coolers, air coolers. Okay. Next thing, if you have a large water body, then what will you do? On large water bodies, we can we can use kerosene oil. We can spill the kerosene oil, the upper surface of water will be closed, and you know these mosquitoes larvae, they are basically present on upper surface. They lay eggs on the upper surface of water because from where they breathe. If they will lay eggs in the inner surface, they will not be able to breathe because the mosquitoes are terrestrial, they are not. So we can spill the oil on water bodies. As a result, they will not get any oxygen and all those larvae, they will die. Also, we can use a fish, which is Gambusia fish. This Gambusia fish is larvicidal fish. It eats the larva of mosquito. So it eats the insect larva. Fine. So this is what you can do to prevent the malaria. All right. Okay. Next we have another helminthic disease. Sorry, protozoan disease, and that's amoebiasis or amoebic dysentery. So whenever we are using the word dysentery, that means diarrhea with blood. Diarrhea plus blood. Since the amoebic word has been used, so the causative agent will be an amoeba, which is Entamoeba histolytica. Histolytica. Sometimes everything is present in the word. Okay. Histolytica. Histos means tissue and lytic means destruction, breakdown. So this amoeba, it enters into your body again because it is the causing diarrhea. It will be in your gut. So it enters into your body through fecal-oral transmission. The transmission is fecal-oral. Transmission is fecal-oral through contaminated food and water. So once it enters into your body, it will grow and destroy the tissues, the mucosa and submucosa of your intestine. It destroys mucosa and submucosa. of your large intestine. Okay, all right. So this Entamoeba histolytica is entering into your body through the contaminated food and water, and then it is causing the destruction of your mucosa and submucosa of large intestine. So what are the things that you will face? You will face a diarrhea. There is excessive loss of water. You can also get dehydration, and also because the tissues are destroying, so blood will come out in the feet. Fine. So this is about your another protozoan that is an amoeba and causes amoebiasis or amoebic dysentery. Okay, moving further to the next disease. So we have till now covered viral, bacterial, helminthic, and protozoan disease. So it's time to start with the other two major diseases. Because in today's lecture, we are just discussing about the diseases. I'm not touching anything about immunity. We'll get that in the part 2. Fine. So here we are going to discuss two major diseases. One is AIDS, another is cancer. Make sure you listen to very carefully, line by line, because it's quite important. A lot of questions are asked whether you're preparing for NEET, you're preparing for boards, you're preparing for state boards, or any international. Fine. So it's really, really very important to listen to very carefully. So let's talk about the disease which is known as cancer. So let's talk about cancer. So cancer means crab. Cancer means crab. But here it is nothing to do with crab. The only thing is when they saw these cancer cells in the body for the first time, it appears like a shape of a crab. So they give the name the crab or cancer. Okay. So what is actually cancer is? So you must have heard that cancer is uncontrolled division of cell. But what is tumor then? What's the difference? So if I'm talking about uncontrolled, uncontrolled division of cells, uncontrolled division of cell is as tumor. Now, in your body, in a particular organ, some of the cell they started growing. Your own body cell. These are not someone else's cell, but your own body cell. They start to grow. You will call it as a tumor. Fine. So if this group of cell is present in one particular organ only, it is not moving anywhere, not moving anywhere, it is present in one particular organ only, then it is known as a benign tumor. So the benign tumor is that type of a tumor that is located at one part of body only. This is less harmful as comparison to the other one, which moves, and that is malignant. So malignant is a type of tumor which moves in your body from one body part to another, and this is known as cancer. This is quite harmful. This is harmful. Okay, so this moves from one part to another. And this property of movement, this property where the cells are moving from one place to another, this is known as metastasis. Metastasis. For example, these cell clusters are formed in your body, the uncontrolled division of cell, and later on, these cells they started moving towards your blood vessel. They enter into your blood vessel, right? So whenever in your body something needs to be circulated, it has to move from one organ to another. For example, from lungs, the oxygen moves with the help of blood to your body tissues. Just like that, these cells, they will enter into your blood vessels and they will enter into another organ. And this is how they move from one place to another. This is a very dangerous property of a tumor known as malignant tumor, and it moves. And this property is known as metastasis. Do remember. Okay. Then what makes these cells different from a normal cell? What properties do this have? And what does what they do in your body? What actually they do in your normal cell that they become a cancerous. So let's see. First of all, if I compare these cells with a normal cell, my normal body cells, they are never exactly rounder. They are oval in shape. They are oval in shape. Okay. Whereas if I'm talking about cancer cell, my cancer cells are perfectly rounder cells. They're perfectly rounders. Okay. Second thing, these normal cells have a property. If they started growing, a point will come when there is overcrowding and these start to touch each other. For example, your normal body cells are multiplying and there becomes so much in number that overcrowding takes place and they start touching each other from all the angles. These cells will stop dividing because they're touching each other. And this property is known as contact inhibition. That means when you are in contact with the other cells, you will inhibit others also, that we are now so much, please stop it, do not divide. But on the same side here, these cancer cells, they do not have this property. They don't care whether someone is touching them, they will keep on. So no property of contact inhibition. No property of contact inhibition. Second thing, your normal cells have chromosomes. This cell is also having chromosome. The end of a chromosome is known as telomere. End of a chromosome is known as telomere, and it divides with the help of enzyme, telomerase. In a normal cell, the telomerase activity is very less. We don't want telomere to grow. Why? Because when telomere grows a lot, your cell will not die. Telomere has a property to protect your chromosome. What is the function of telomere? It protect chromosome. Okay. So if your telomere is keeping on dividing, it is not reducing. Why it's dividing? Telomerase is helping it to divide. So if it doesn't die, your cell will not die and you cannot make anything immortal. You want your cells to die. That's known as cell death or apoptosis. Okay. So if I say your cells doesn't die, you will not die. Are you immortal? You are not. So in a normal cell, our nature has given us mechanism that during every division of cell, this telomere will not divide. Why? Because nature has blocked the telomerase enzyme. Okay. But this is opposite in the cancer cell. In cancer cell, there is high level of telomerase. As a result, there is no cell death or apoptosis. Okay, so they will not die. Why? Because they have high amount of telomerase enzyme, and on every division telomerase will also divide and it will never reduce. If it doesn't reduce, it will keep on protecting your chromosome, and if the chromosome is protected, your cell is fine. So these are certain differences between cancer cell and normal cell. What about genes now? Let's talk about genes. Does gene control cancer? Does genes have something to do? Definitely. So there are two types of gene. One are tumor suppressor gene. So nature knew this type of thing will happen to your cell. So nature has made some gene that in a normal healthy person it suppresses tumor somehow. But what if these genes get damaged or they get mutated? So if your tumor suppressor gene, these genes suppresses tumor in a healthy person. If these genes get damaged, the person's normal cell will become a cancer cell. Fine. So they suppresses cancer or tumor. If they get mutated, then normal cell will become cancer or a tumor. Fine. Second type of genes are the oncogenes. Now, what are these oncogenes? Wherever the word onco comes, that means it is related with cancer. Oncology is the study of cancer. So in your body, there are genes present known as proto-oncogenes. These are normal genes of your body. You have, I have, everyone have. If due to mutation, if due to mutation or viral infection or viral infection, okay, what virus does? Virus does transformation. Virus does transformation. What is transformation? Addition of viral DNA. Addition of we have done transformation in biotech, right? Addition of the DNA into the host, right? So virus actually what it does, it enters it enters its DNA into your proto-oncogene. The proto-oncogene will destroy, and this will gets converted into oncogene. So proto-oncogenes are normal genes. They're converted into oncogene on two conditions. One, if there is a viral infection. Another, if there is any mutation. Once it gets into oncogene, the cell will show uncontrolled division, and then it will get converted to tumor cell later on. Fine. So this is about the genes in your body, that how they get converted into, they can convert the normal cell into cancer. Now, second question is, what are the things that causes cancer? Carcinogens. So carcinogens are cancer causing agents. Are cancer causing agents. Okay. First of all, we have a biological agent. We have the physical agent, and then we have chemical agent. Okay. Chemical agents, for example, cigarette smoke. Cigarette smoke, people used to smoke, and you have seen in advertisements, right? It can cause cancer. Fine. So in that smoke, what is present? Certain chemicals are present, like benzopyrene, N-nitrosodiamine. So all these chemicals, these can cause cancer. All right. So there are different types of cancer causing agents. One are the biological, usually they are viruses. Then we have physical, we'll be talking about them, and then we have chemical. So nitrosodimethylamine and benzopyrene. These both can cause lung cancer. Where are they present? They are present in smoke. With smoke, cigarette. Then cadmium oxide can cause prostate cancer. So likewise, aflatoxin. Aflatoxin is a toxin produced by the fungus, and this fungus, actually grow on canned foods if they are so much contaminated. So this causes liver cancer. So all these chemicals can cause different types of cancer. Physical, like X-rays, high energy radiations, right? High energy radiations, UV rays. UV rays causes skin cancer, and also temperature, high temperature or heat. Constant heat can also cause the cancer. Yes. So there were some cases which was seen in some people which used to have some coal in a basket, and they used to keep it near their stomach to get heat in a areas like hilly areas. It is known as kangadi. Fine. So there has been seen that people who are using it for long time interval, they actually got cancer, pancreatic cancer, in later in life. So it was stated that heat can also cause the cells to get mutated. Okay. Then in biological, we have viruses. Biological agents, we have a lot of viruses, like human papilloma virus, HPV. Human papilloma, HSV, herpes simplex virus, HSV. Also HIV, that will be doing also in the AIDS, human immunodeficiency deficiency. Okay, so these are certain viruses that can also cause transformation of cell and convert the proto-oncogenes into the on, right? So these are various carcinogens. Next thing, how can you detect cancer? Detection. How can you detect cancer? First of all, the first thing that you can do is you can go for an X-ray. Second thing, you can go for CT scan. What is CT scan? Computed tomography. How it is different from the normal X-ray? In normal X-ray, you will get the 2D image. You will get the 2D image of a particular organ, right? If you go to doctor and doctor say you are suspected of this type of cancer, just go and have the X-ray. So you can get 2D image from a normal X-ray machine. But if they want to see a better image of cancer, then they will ask you to go for CT scan. You must have seen in movies that there is a machine in which a person is asked to lay down on this bed, and this bed goes inside the machine. So all of this machine, it has a lot of X-rays, and this give you 3D image of the organ. Both have the same fundamentals. Their X-rays are used in CT scan, also X-rays are used, but it is giving you 3D image, and this is giving you 2D image. So here 3D image is formed. And what are we using here? We are using X-rays here. Third we have is MRI, magnetic resonance imaging. So if you see the machine of CT scan and MRI, they look exactly same. But what's the difference? The difference is in the fundamental behind this. Here the X-rays were used to click the image, but here the magnetic fields are used and non-ionizing radiations. X-rays are ionizing radiations. But here in MRI, we are using magnetic field and non-ionizing radiations to take an image. That's why here, because magnetic fields are formed, because we have water, right? And with the help of water, a magnetic field is formed and we take the better images. So the people who are going for MRI, they are asked to take away all the metal objects they have. Otherwise, the person can get burnt because the circuit will be formed, and magnetic field is formed with the help of the circuit only. You have done in the physics, fine. So it's all the physics. It's less bio and more physics. So this is how, by these methods, you can see the proper image of the cancer cell. All right. Out of all these, the safest one is MRI. The safest technique is the MRI. Fine. Now, last technique, fourth technique to detect is biopsy. What is biopsy? For example, you have got the image that a person's pancreas is forming a cluster of cells. These can be cancer cell. But how to be sure that this is cancer? So what a person does is, or a doctor does is, it takes tissue sample. It takes tissue sample. Okay. For example, this is an organ, and here the uncontrolled cell division is seen in the X-ray or MRI. Now they will use a syringe and take some tissues out, and they will take some tissues or cells out. Have taken the cells out. Okay. Now these cells, they are examined. They are examined under microscope. They will examine it under the microscope. After they examine it under the microscope, they will see whether they are normal cell or the cancerous cell. After critical examination, they will give you a result whether the cells are cancer cell or the normal cell. So here, if they are cancer cell, they will examine it under the microscope. Cancer cell, for example, if they're cancer cell, they will be perfectly rounder. This is one of a character. They will actually culture them. And then if they're showing uncontrolled division, definitely they are the cancer. So this is what we do in the biopsy. So biopsy is basically histopath. histopathological studies. Histo means tissues, and pathological means the pathogen study. Okay, so here, because we're taking out the tissue sample, that's why you call it as a histopathological study. Okay, so by these four techniques we can see the image of the cancer cell. We can make sure whether the cells are cancer or not by taking the sample out, and that's biopsy. Also, there are certain other techniques. For example, we have herceptin. What are herceptins? Herceptins are antibodies. What are these antibodies? Okay, antibodies, these are antibodies which are formed against cancer, against cancer cell. Okay, if I have one antibody which is antibody X, which is antibody X, X1. Okay, antibodies, you know, they're specific to the antigen. If antigen here is my cancer cell, and I have made antibody X1, and I have made antibody X1 against this cancer cell, I have taken out the tissue through biopsy. And if I allow those sample cell to agglutinate with this antibody, and somehow if they did agglutination, that means they're complementary. And if they do agglutination, they're complementary, that means these cells are cancer cell. If the sample cells do not bind to this antibody which are formed against cancer cell, then the cells are not. So by using these antibodies, we can make sure by their binding whether the cells are cancer cells or not. For example, this cancer cell is a breast cancer cell. In a female, I have taken this sample and I want to make sure whether the cells are cancerous or not. If the sample cells are cancerous, since this antibody is specific to the breast cancer cell, it will bind and I will say the cell is a cancer. So by use of these antibodies, I can also make sure that the cells are cancer or not. Okay, so this was all about the detection technique. Let's talk about the treatment. How will you treat a cancer? Treatment. The first treatment is, you have all heard of chemotherapy. Second is radiotherapy, surgery, and immunotherapy. Okay. So first of all, if the cancer cells are located at one particular region only, right, in like hand, skin, or brain, and they're not going into another organ, we can remove it surgically as we can remove them surgically as. So surgery can be the option, but surgery is always done along with radiotherapy. In radiotherapy, high energy radiations are used to kill cells. For example, if someone is having tumor cells here, a lot of tumor cells, okay, and here are normal cells. So now what the doctor will do, the doctor will cut away this portion by surgery, and with the help of high energy radiation, it will burn some of the normal cells. Why? Because what if these cells are also being transformed, or these cells are also mutated, and later on it will cause cancer? Maybe a possibility. So what doctor does is, with the help of surgery, they will remove this tissue, and it will also burn the other tissues with the help of radiation to make sure that it will not spread later on. Okay, otherwise sometime you cannot burn the tissues, or you cannot take away the tissues, you cannot undergo surgery because that organ is important. So at that point, what doctor does is, they give you only radiotherapy along with chemotherapy. I cannot remove this because it is surrounded by blood vessel that supports the other organs. Okay, so I cannot remove this by surgery. At this point, if I cannot do surgery, I will go for radiotherapy or the chemotherapy. So that's a doctor's call according to the organ. So in chemotherapy, we give anti-cancerous drugs. Anti-cancerous drugs like vinblastine, vincristin. So the major target of these drug is to attack highly active cell, highly active dividing cell. Wherever in the body they will find the highly dividing cell, these drugs will cause the stoppage of these cells. Okay, the cells will not divide. But also in your body, there are certain cells which are highly actively dividing, like your hair cells, follicle cells, and your blood cell. So as a result, there is a side effect. It will also, these drug will also cause the stoppage of division of these cells. As a result, the person will show certain side effects, or these drugs will show certain side effects like hair loss and anemia. So you must have seen any person who has got the cancer, the person is under chemotherapy, the person hair will be lost. Okay, and person can also get anemic. Why? Because these drugs, they attack the highly dividing cell, and they do not allow these cells to divide, because what this is in the cancer, right? You cannot differentiate your cell easily, na? These are your own cells only. Yes, they do have certain different antigen, but they're your own body cells, so you have to stop them somehow. So next is immunotherapy. In immunotherapy, we use the immune proteins like interferons. So these proteins, they enhances your immune system so that your immune system will kill your tumor cell, because your nature has given certain cells in your body, which or proteins in your body, which can differentiate your normal cell with the cancerous cell. Later on, the immune system can fine. Okay, so this was all about your treatment method. And what are these immune proteins? Can anyone tell me? It's also in the NCRT. Can anyone tell me? Please tell me in the comment section if you know about these immune proteins. I think that starts with I and R. Okay, that's for you. That's a homework for you. Okay. All right. I have given you the guess that starts from INTE. Now, what about the names of cancer? What are the various types of cancer? Let's talk about them. First of all, carcinoma. I'm telling you the names, then we will discuss what are these types of cancer. Another is sarcoma, leukemia, lipoma, adenoma. Okay, all right. So, carcinoma is a skin cancer, sarcoma is a mesodermal cancer, wherever your mesodermal tissue is involved. Okay, leukemia, you all know, is a blood cancer, lipoma is a cancer of adipose tissue, and adenoma is a cancer of. So, these are some of the names of the cancer you come across. All right. Another thing that you need to tell me is what are the main four major cancers in the world? If you know, tell me in the comment. What are the main four major cancers in the world? We'll be discussing these two questions in the next class. Okay, so you need to find it out. Make some efforts, guys. Make some efforts. We are making a lot of efforts for you. You also need to make some efforts with your Diksha. Yes, right. We are giving you everything. So if you study here, it's all fine. We have covered each and everything for you. All you need to do is trust us. That's the only thing. I know you all are doing really very hard. You all are working really very hard. I can vouch on that. All those students who are studying here, they are totally committed. I know they're totally. So the only thing that you need to show us is your good results. I want to see that you have studied here and you have done tremendously good in your. This is all thing I wish for. All right. So this was all about cancer. Let's talk about the another disease, and that's AIDS. So the next disease is AIDS. What's the full form of AIDS? Acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. What does it mean? Acquired means taken from another source. That means you're not born with it. You have taken it from another person. Taken from a source. That means it's infectious. Immunodeficiency, that your immune system gets lower down. This this disease, it attacks your immune system. Syndrome, group of symptoms. You will get a lot of a lot of another diseases along with this disease. So it's a group of disease rather than a single disease. So if I talk about this disease known as AIDS, if I talk about this disease known as AIDS, the first case of this AIDS was seen in homosexuals in USA in year 1981. So its first case was seen in USA year 1931. In which year? 1981, not 31, 1981, in homosexual. In homosexual. Okay. So what is the causative agent? A very important question. The causative agent is the virus. The causative agent is a virus, and that's HIV. Human immunodeficiency virus. What's the full form of this virus, guys? Human immunodeficiency virus. Okay. So this human immunodeficiency virus, this virus, if I talk about this is a retrovirus. This is a retrovirus. What is a retrovirus? The virus which has the genome, that is RNA, and later on through reverse transcription it forms DNA. That virus is a retrovirus. So retroviruses are the viruses that forms DNA from the RNA, and this technique is known as reverse transcription, that you are transcribing in a reverse manner. What is a transcription? Formation of RNA from the DNA. If this opposite would have taken place, that's transcription, and because opposite is actually taking place, that's a reverse transcription. So its genome is RNA genome. So whether it is single stranded or double stranded, it is single stranded RNA, but two molecules of these RNA. Okay, double stranded is two strands, both are joined, that's double stranded. But if I have single strand of RNA and they are independent but they are two, that's a single stranded RNA, two molecules. Okay, so this is a retrovirus with the genome single stranded RNA, and it is covered by an envelope, so you call it as enveloped virus. It is enveloped virus. Let's see how does it looks like. Let's see. Okay, let's draw this. So first of all, you will find out the envelope on it. You will find out the envelope on it. Double layer envelope. Okay. Let's move it. So there's a double layer envelope, and it is surrounded by a lot of protein. So you must have seen that protein, that pin on a notice board. That's copper in color, and it has a cap on it. Looks like this. You must have seen this pin on notice board of school to pin up a lot of things, right? I don't know what this pin is known in your regional languages. I want to know what it is known as in regional languages. Like in Hindi, it is known as topi pin. So please let me know in the comments what you call it as. Okay. So like that, a lot of spike proteins are present. So these proteins are glycoproteins. That means they're conjugated with carbohydrate. Okay, they're conjugated with carbohydrate. They're conjugated with carbohydrate. Like this. So the one that you see outside, this rounder one, this is GP120, and this is embedded inside the wall. This is GP41. The membrane is made up of phospholipid only, but it has spike proteins. These are glycoprotein, GP120 and 141. GP stands for glycoprotein. 120 is a molecular weight in Daltons. Okay, these numbers are molecular weights in Daltons. So you can see the outer coat of proteins there, and inside is present another layer of protein, that is P17. These are not glycoproteins, these are just protein, which is P17. So internal coat of protein, which is P17. Again, I tell you, P stand for protein and 17 is molecular weight in the Dalton. And inside we have another coat of protein, that is P24. That is P24. Okay, so this is the P24. Alright. Inside this is present the genome. Inside this is present the genome, the single stranded RNA, and it is conjugated with proteins. So there are proteins present. And these are basically the enzyme like reverse transcriptase. Because this enzyme will help in reverse transcription. Okay, and this is your single stranded RNA 2 molecule. All right, so this is how it looks like. Now, how does this very unique virus enters into your body? There must be certain means, because it is you must have seen a lot of advertisements on AIDS, because a lot of organization this spreads the awareness of AIDS. You must have seen that this is sexually transmitted disease. Yes. So how does it get transmitted? Transmission is by various ways. First of all, as I've told you, through unprotected sexual intercourse. Unprotected sexual intercourse. For example, it is not like if you are undergoing unprotected sexual intercourse with anyone, you will get AIDS. No, 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 no. It's like if one person is infected, another is healthy. And if they are undergoing sexual contact without the use of the protection like condoms, so one person can give the virus to the another one. Right? It's not like with anyone, but with the diseased person. Okay. Second is the blood transfusion. For example, you are taking blood from a person. You are taking blood from a person, and that person is infected. It has HIV, and you get that blood, you will get the disease. Third is through infected needles. This one spread is usually seen in people who are drug addicts. If one person has taken drug through the syringe and that person is infected, and the same needle is used by another healthy person, through that needle, because needle is in contact with the blood, that HIV get into that needle, and that will spread from one person to another. And the last one, through placenta, from mother to fetus. Through what? Through placenta. So any of these means can cause the spread of a disease. All right. Now what will happen once it enters into your body? It will get entered into your blood, right? Through any of these means. The thing is, the person's blood or its body fluids, basically it can be your like semen in case of male. This actually enters in your body fluid. Okay. Through body fluid, it will enter into your cells. So what are its favorite cell? The CD4 cells. What are CD4? CD4 is a protein present on the surface of only certain cell. If I'm saying this is a CD4 cell, that means that cell have a protein known as CD4 on its surface. Okay. So it's a protein on surface of cell. So now what are the CD4 cells present in your body? What are its favorite cell? One is T helper cell and another is macrophage. So you must have heard of WBCs, white blood cell. And in white blood cells, we have one category of lymphocyte. Lymphocyte are of two types. One is T cell, another is B cell. The T cells are further of different kinds. One are helper cell, another are cytotoxic cell. So these T helper cells are type of WB. What category? Lymph. Okay. So these two are its favorites. Now let's see what happened next. Out of T cell and macrophage. Macrophage are the HIV factory. HIV factory. That means the virus multiplies here. Virus will multiply here, but it will not destroy macrophage. Virus will multiply here, but it will not destroy the macrophage. Okay, it will not destroy the macrophage. Whereas T helper cell, in T helper cell, the virus will multiply and it will also destroy T helpers. So you must have heard of lysogenic and lytic cycle in virus cycle in botany. So basically, lytic cycle is performed in T helper cell. Lysogenic is performed in macrophages. Okay, both are producing it, but these are producing in more numbers. It is attacking host cell, but it is not destroying. Here it is attacking it and multiplying and also destroying. Okay, so in HIV/AIDS, what one thing that you see the reduce count of T helper cell. In a normal person, the number of T helper cell is 200 per mm³ of blood. This is a count of T helper cell. But in case of AIDS, it is less than 200 per mm³ of blood. Okay, I think this is less than sign if I'm not wrong, but I'm mentioning. Okay, if a person is normal, it has around 1200 mm³ of T helper cell. But if a person is having AIDS, it reduced to around 200 per mm³. So there is a thing, guys. So there is a thing. If I'm saying the person gets infected with HIV, I will call it as HIV positive. If a person has HIV in the blood, that person is HIV positive. But it is not always that a person is having AIDS. Okay, it is not always that a person will have AIDS. When will that person will have AIDS? HIV is present of the HIV virus, but the person will get AIDS only if the count of T helper cell count is less than 200 per mm³. Why? Because when the T helper cell count reduces, only then the immune system will get down. And when the immune system get down, the person will have opportunistic infection. Now, these things which were not able to infect you because you have strong immune system, they were not able to infect you because you have the strong immune system. Now, these all causative agent will come and they will see you have reduced immune system. Now, they will attack and cause you infection. These are known as opportunistic infection. For example, you get pneumonia by a bacteria, but you never get pneumonia by a fungus because you have strong immune system. But now the immune system has reduced down, so you will get the fungal pneumonia. So one is fungal pneumonia. The person will get fungal pneumonia. Second thing, the person can get tuberculosis. And there are chances of sarcoma, that means cancer. And in some cases, mycoplasmosis. Mycoplasmosis is also seen in certain cases, and also toxoplasmosis. Mycoplasmosis, toxoplasmosis. Toxoplasma is a type of protozoan. Okay. Now, if I talk about when does a person get HIV positive and when does a person get AIDS. So, excuse me for a second. All right. So when does a person, I'm saying the person is HIV positive and I'm saying the person is getting AIDS. So how will I say the person is having AIDS and how will I say the person is having this HIV? Oh, sorry. Okay. Actually, all right. Let's make it clear again. How will I say the person is HIV positive and how will I say the person is having AIDS? For example, today the person gets infected by HIV. The HIV enters into the body, now the person is positive. But will at that point person is having AIDS? No. Only if the cell count gets reduced. So how much time does it takes? How much time does it takes from getting HIV positive to AIDS? This is known as time lag. This is known as time lag. This time lag from getting the virus and getting the AIDS is around 6 months. 6 months to around 5 to 10 years. So this much time is a time lag from being HIV positive to having AIDS. Alright. Okay, now what does this virus do in your body? Let's see. Once the virus enters into your blood, it has to enter into the target cell, which is a host cell, which is basically a macrophage or the T helper cell. And since macrophage are HIV positive, so they are the first one they attack on. So first of all, the virus, it will start entering into your body, and here who will help it? Who will help in the entry? The protein surface cells, the surface proteins. Okay, the cells have certain proteins on the surface. Here we have like GP120. So GP120 will be recognized by your animal cell proteins. Okay, the GP120 will be recognized here by your surface proteins. So once the recognition is done, the virus will give its genome. Virus will give its genome. For example, this is single stranded RNA. This single stranded RNA by a reverse transcription will gets converted into single stranded DNA. Since there are two molecules of RNA, so two molecules of DNA will be formed. So here simultaneously two molecules of single stranded DNA are formed. Later on, these DNA will become double stranded DNA because they are complementary, and they will enter into your DNA. They gets attached into your DNA. If it would have been RNA, it will never be able to attach. Why? Because you want to hijack the machinery. You want to hijack the host DNA and makes a lot of copies. For that, you need to be in the DNA. So that's why reverse transcription takes place. From RNA, DNA is formed. Two strands of DNA are formed because two strands of RNA are there. Both will join, gets double stranded and into your DNA. Why there is a need of double stranded DNA? Because your DNA is double stranded. Okay. After double stranded DNA is formed, the transcription will take place. New RNA will be formed. This RNA will be present here. Some RNA will form RNA proteins, which will form the envelope. So these are the proteins. So protein and the RNA genome both will be produced by your machinery, which is hijacked by the virus, and new viruses will be formed here. So if you've seen in the NCERT, it's written, infected cell can survive while viruses are being replicated and released. So this is applicable for macrophages. Okay. So new viruses are released, but the cell can still survive. That's why macrophages are HIV factories, and that's why the number of T helper cell reduces, because there the cell is not able to survive. So if you can't see the image clearly, you can also open your NCERT books, right guys? Yes, all my friends. So you can also open the NCERT books there. So that's about the cycle of your HIV. So see how bad it does in your body, right? So be protected. Now, how can you detect this disease? How can you detect? What are the detection techniques? Detection techniques are, first of all, Western blotting. You will study this in the botany. In Western blotting, we detect the proteins. If you detect GP120 in your body, you will know GP120 is a protein of virus. And simply you can see if GP120 is present, the virus is present. Second thing is ELISA, enzyme linked immunosorbent assay. Alright, so what do you do in this technique? We detect the antigen antibody interaction. Alright, for example, I have a plate, and this plate, one HIV antigen has been conjugated. Okay, I have this ready-made plate. I have asked to a laboratory to make it. Okay, now I want to see if a person is having AIDS or not, or it has HIV in the blood or not. I will take the blood sample, take out the antibodies, and I will allow the antibody to meet. If a person is having HIV, the antibodies will be present and this will bind to this. Imagine this has been done, but I can't see it with the naked eye, right? So what I will do, I have made another antibody to which I have conjugated an enzyme. So when I will add colorless substrate, it will get converted into product. If person is positive, it will be having this antibody. This is patient antibody. If this antibody is present, my another antibody will bind which has enzyme, and when I add colorless substrate, it will give here purple orange color. If the purple orange color is there, the person is definitely positive. Okay, so these two techniques are used to detect the AIDS. Fine. So how can you cure the AIDS? How can you cure the AIDS? In the early stages, the AIDS can be cured. Yes, in the early stages, it can be cured. What is the treatment? First is you can give them antiviral drugs. These are certain drugs that prevents replication, that prevents the replication of the virus. Okay. Another thing, you can give them immunotherapy, in which we use interferons. We use interferons. Interferons are injected in the person, and this will enhance the immunity. Now, what are these interferons? You will be knowing about these interferons in the later part where I will discuss the immunity. All right. So this was all about the AIDS. I hope you have now you know what AIDS is. Okay. So what about the work that people are doing for awareness of the AIDS? What do you think? Are there certain people who are working to spread awareness about AIDS? You think so? Yes. A lot of government and non-government organizations are working for it. For example, one organization, NACO, National AIDS Control Organization. This is spreading a lot of awareness for this disease. It is telling people, going home to home and a lot of places, to the sex workers, that you should use this protection and prevent yourself from AIDS. This is a disease, how it happens, because a lot of people who are not educated, they don't know much about it. And it has a slogan, do not die of ignorance. Its ribbon is red, if you have seen it, like this. Okay. And 1st December is celebrated as AIDS Day. Why do we say do not die of ignorance? Because we don't know who that person is carrying that particular virus. For example, you met across a person, you get be friends with, then you had this sexual contact without protection. Do you ever know that person is having AIDS or not, or it is having the virus in it? No, you have not. That person has not undergo blood test in front of you. You don't ask that person, "Oh, go for the blood test," right? So it's always better whenever a person is unknown or you are having multiple partners. Always, first of all, prevent having sexual contact with the multiple partners. And if you are doing one with the unknown people, always use, because these things cover your entire genitals and the transmission of a viruses, right? All right, so this was all about the AIDS. In the next class, we will be discussing about the immunity part, drug de-addiction part, and also we'll be doing a lot of questions. So today, no questions. Question we will be doing in the second part of this chapter. I have divided the chapter into two parts because I know that's really very important, and you all guys were putting in comments, ma'am, please go for human health and disease. So here I am. And don't worry, I have seen a lot of students asking about the chapters left of 11th. I'll be covering all the chapters which are left, like neural, body fluids, and excretion. So do not worry, I am here, I'm not going anywhere, and we will be doing those chapters for you. Okay, so I'll meet you in the next class. Till then, bye bye, take care, study hard as much as you can. Like, I have a lot of eyes on you guys. I read every comment. Don't worry, you just put down in comment, so we are here for you. So I'll meet you in the next class. This was all about human health, first part. Only first part, only diseases. In next class, we'll be meeting you with the second part. Bye bye. Take care.